go through and talk a little bit about each of our guns and why we have what we have on them and why we chose each gun we have.
I think this is sort of an applications and tactics video.
Yeah.
I suppose we had to
That
classify.
would be the best way to describe it. Probably gonna start first since he's on that side, and that's what we decided.
So my gun, as I've reviewed before, is the CA-33E. That stands for Classic Army. It's modeled after the real G3. And I have on here, let's start with the scope, which is in the other review, but it's 3/9 × 40 scope. And it goes from 3 zoom to a 9 zoom, which is very far in. And I like to snipe. I mean, it's not really a sniper to begin with, but I do like to do some of the long range stuff. So I keep it exciting that way. Also, I have on here a extended stock with a cheek rest, and it's actually very, very comfortable, and it keeps me steady from right here, and I don't wobble around like some of the other stocks do. And as you can see, it gets you're very close to the scope, and it's just really, really steady right there. I also have on here a barrel extension, and that really doesn't do anything but make it look cool, and I think it looks awesome. So I have this really cool mount I just got. It's metal instead of plastic for my scope, and it's a really good mount. I think it's $25 on Airsoft Atlanta. I really recommend that. And I have some upgrades in this gun I'd like to recommend. It's a .03 tight bore barrel, and that means that's just how big the barrel is, and it just makes it a lot more accurate.
6.03 millimeter with a 6.0 millimeter BB, so you can imagine how tight that barrel is and how good the spin is going to be.
Yeah, it's pretty tight, and it's very, very accurate, especially with the heavier BBs. I also have in here a huge battery. It is 9.6 volts and 4,800 milliamps. So that's about 3 times as big as some of the mini batteries out there. So it's huge.
You're going to want to have upgraded gears with this kind of battery, because you take a stock gun, especially like a Tokyo Marui or any kind of Ecto 1, I suppose, and you put a 9.6 volt, you're going to tear up your gun in one game.
Yeah, and we really kind of learned our lesson with this, and we put my battery in this gun and watched the fuses blow 4 times.
We've blown at least 4 fuses.
Yeah. So we've been to Home Depot to get fuses.
Yeah. System of fuses.
Yeah, so don't try to upgrade your gun with just one piece. If you're going to upgrade it, then upgrade it altogether.
And if you don't know what you're doing, don't attempt to do it by yourself.
No.
If you know someone, take there. Go to Airsoft Atlanta. They have guys they recommend who do a great job. That's actually where we got his done. Yeah.
So that's mine.
Okay. I have a Classic Army M15A4 tactical carbine, which you all have seen about 5,000 times. But anyway, this is how I customize my gun. You see, it's a TAC carbine, so it's got the large full stock in the rear. Now, most Classic Army guns come pre-upgraded, which mine does, but I chose not to upgrade it any further. What I've done are mostly sort of cosmetic enhancements to sort of improve the look and feel of the gun. First of all, you'll notice right here that I have a Leapers, I believe it's a 30 millimeter red dot sight, which I have mounted directly to the Picatinny rail right here. This enables me to look right through the front sight post here, which I would normally look through the iron sights to get that, but since I can get it with a dot, I think it's just a little bit of a cleaner of a firing solution. I can bring the red dot up quickly, and I can keep both eyes open, looking on the horizon without having to, squint and close one eye and really line up a shot, which could be more accurate. But when you're faced in a tight situation, which I usually am, you're going to want that. You're going to want that quick firing solution that you can get to. Also, things I've done to sort of optimize the way I play is I carry usually at least 2 of my high cap magazines. Right now, I have a Classic Army and 300 round high cap, and I also have an AIM M4 high cap from my first AEG, my first true AEG. Still works in the Classic Army. I have them clamped together, which you can find. This is a pretty generic magazine clamp. You can find them for about $10. It's a pretty quick buy. So when the heat is on, I can easily switch out magazines with hit the magazine release right into the spare magazine, and you wind it up just like a normal high cap. I've also included a I've added an NC Star bottom rail to my handguard, for which I've affixed a vertical grip, which gives me a little more stabilization with my gun. Back when I used to grab it at the handguard, whichever way you would go, sometimes you have a little give and take depending on where you hold the gun, but this is a pretty steady way to carry your gun. And I have a sling, but I usually only that for transport. I don't walk around, because I usually carry it like this. I don't walk around with it. I don't walk around the field like this slung. I usually keep it out like this, ready to fire. And that is pretty much the sum of my tactical carbine. I use it mostly for close quarter scenarios. I don't get too far away because I don't have a whole lot of range beyond stock on this, but it has a pretty good rate of fire, pretty good accuracy for when you need to get in tight.
Yeah,
that is
and
the end.
Classic Army stock they call it pre-upgraded, but it's really just stock, and almost all the Classic Armies are at least 320 FPS.
They've got at least an M110 spring.
Right.
They've got steel gears, which is especially good for those high voltage batteries.
Yep. All right, and then the last gun we have here is this is my G36C, and yes, this is the supposedly compact version. I have modified it to it's kind of not anymore. I have on here an SRC silencer. Doesn't do anything, obviously, because all the noise is coming from here, not out here. But it just looks cool, and this is a great silencer. Not really sure how much I got it for. Since the G36 series has 3 rails on the side or 2 on the side and 1 on the bottom, I've thrown on a vertical grip, which is great, stabilizing yourself. Quick aiming, so you don't have to hold up here or whatever. Since all this is pretty smooth, you got a pretty fixed. And these grips are really nice. They're I think this one was like $10 something, but it's very comfortable in your hand. I have thrown on a 3x9 x 50 scope on here. The 50 is the optical, or the size of the optical lens on the front. Variable power. You can go up to 9, which is pretty much useless on an airsoft gun. The reason I have this on here is at the 3 times power, this gun is pretty accurate. So, I mean, once you sight in the scope, and you can see people, then you can pretty much hit them.
It's a great mid-range.
Yeah, it's pretty mid-range.
As a general rule, whatever scope you're using, you're going to want to zero it first. You don't want to slap a scope on.
You can't just slap it on there. I've taken a long time to zero this in, where it's pretty precise. I mean, you can't,
just
count for the wind and all that stuff, but you just gotta take the time to do it. And once you do it, just leave it on there, and it's perfect to go. Another reason I have the scope on here is just kind of like a spotting scope. You can, with the variable zoom, you can see out pretty far. Depending on if you're playing in like a field or something like that, you can see where their enemies are moving to and stuff like that. Another thing, this is the cool thing about G36C mags is that they have little pegs on the inside. This comes standard on even the real steel. That they'll clamp together automatically. There goes the BB. And this just, you don't have to buy a mag clamp for these. And I'm rolling with mid caps right now because I don't really like the sound the high caps make, which is this one right here. But the mid caps are great because they have, the storage of, I don't know, like a third of a high cap, but you still get the no noise quality of, running around with a big old high cap shaking around. So you can sneak up behind people a lot easier with these, which is what I like to do. That's why I went with the, G36, but it's also pretty versatile. Yeah, no, don't shoot people in the back.
Dirty. Shoots people in the back.
Doesn't
he shoot people in the back?
More likely in the head with that thing.
Back of the head.
Yeah, back of the head.
Anyway, thanks for watching our loadout review discussion. So we'll see you next time.